Years all eyes on me and I'ma send it up the pot.
It's never gonna get old. Hello everybody, welcome back to the dojo, and I'm your captain, Captain Diese. And I am here for a really impromptu video, something that was speaking to my heart and I had to get off my chest. As you know, it is now May the 12th. May the 4th kind of came and went really quickly, and I didn't get any Star Wars content up on my channel, and I felt like a blasphemous fake Star Wars fan.
Oh, that's nasty.
I gotta get some, I had to get some stuff out. And this is pretty much going to be a video going over 5 things I have on like my Star Wars wish list that I'm hoping for in the future Star Wars movies, possibly shows that are coming in the future, just things that I personally want to see more of. And I want to preface this by saying, I may have opinions and thoughts in this video and things on my wish list that you may not have on yours and you may not personally care about. That is perfectly fine. Everybody's entitled to their own objective opinion on what they want from Star Wars. So people that are on the toxic part of the fan base, please do not come to me. I don't want that smoke. I just want to be able to chill and see my space with this fight. Okay? We clear on that? Cool. Let's get into it.
You're now watching the Captain.
Number 5. Lore through actions, not through exposition. One of the things that is one of my bigger pet peeves when it comes to the Star Wars stuff that I've seen recently with stuff in The Mandalorian and other movies is that I feel like they've been doing this thing where they have an excessive amount of exposition to explain the lore of certain parts of the world. In The Mandalorian, although I love the series, I love Dave Filoni and Jon Favreau, I think they are probably one of the brighter spots of Star Wars content over the last decade possibly. I feel like this show in particular had a lot of over exposition in regard to the Mandalorian lore. There was a lot of instances where I would just see Mando and other Mandalorians kind of sit around and discuss how the hierarchy of the Mandalorian Empire works, how the culture works. And sometimes that's a cool thing. You can have scenes where you have certain things and themes of exposition where we're explaining to people what's going on with your universe or why things are the way they are. But sometimes it's just better to show. Instead of showing me that the Mandalorians shouldn't take off their helmets, or this sect shouldn't take off their helmets, or the Mandos are part of that sect, maybe just have an instance where somebody's trying to remove his helmet and he freaks the fuck out, Maybe that shows how important that is to him. Sometimes you don't have to just tell me everything. And I feel like that's where some of the stuff in Star Wars gets bogged down and gets a little bit slower and boring, where it's just, you're just trying to tell me everything. Please just show me, don't tell me. That's like a simple rule when it comes to movie telling. And again, that's just me. Maybe that's something that you guys as fans have not noticed, but that's something for me that I personally had a little bit of a gripe with. Number 4, the music got to hit. So for me, if you watch most of my content, you'll know that a big part of what makes a franchise, movie, show, whatever it may be successful for me is a fire-ass score, a fire-ass soundtrack. Anytime there's this I just need fire-ass music inside of my movies and shows and my content in general. And Star Wars, for the most part, has not disappointed, from the original trilogy to the prequels, which you may hate them or not. Duel of Fates is a fire-ass track. I love this being a big kid. There's consistently been dope music in the prequels and the original trilogy. I feel like in this sequel trilogy, there were some themes that were kind of cool. I know Rey's theme was kind of a cool one. I'll play that for a second. But besides her theme, I don't really think I enjoyed much of the music in the sequel trilogy. I don't think the music stood out as much as past and prior parts of Star Wars has. So if you can just take your time, develop a theme that just sticks out and is memorable, which I know this is easier said than done, because again, that's probably very subjective in regards to what music is considered hot or not, and what some fans are looking for in regards to dope music. I am somebody who's into a wide array of music, so I don't need it to sound like one particular type of genre or one particular type of era of Star Wars to be good to me. You don't have to just remake the Cantina theme for me to feel like I'm getting a great piece of Star Wars music. But just make it memorable for me, man. Make immerse me in the atmosphere, It's gotta hit. Number 3, stay away from established characters. Now we're getting into some of the nitty gritty of my bigger gripes with Star Wars that I think some fans may have. I personally would love for the future of Star Wars to stay away from the sequel era and stay away from this. Please stay away from the Skywalkers. Like, get the Skywalkers far away from what's going on in the next phase of Star Wars. I think we've worn out all we can in regards to Anakin, Rey, to some extent, some of the people from the Clone Wars. If you want to focus on some of the characters who didn't get a lot of shine, like in Asajj Ventress, I'm cool with that. To an extent, again, you guys see, I love Ahsoka Tano, so I think there's a little bit more that we can get from an Ahsoka show, possibly, in regards to what she was doing in between or after Rebels and other things she was involved in her own show. But for the most part, I like to stay away from this stuff, man. I really want to get into the era of the Old Republic. I'm personally a huge fan of Star Wars Old Republic, which is an online game that focuses in the Old Republic era of Star Wars. Now, I don't think this part of Star Wars is canon anymore after Disney took over. The game's still running, and they have like a long line of different stories and expansions of large events that happened in this time period. So we could explore a lot of the similar themes and aspects of the original trilogy, the prequels, and the sequel trilogies, but we can just do it in an era that's unfamiliar to the fans. So fans of old and fans of new have a fresh take on Star Wars. So we're all kind of going in at the same time with something that's kind of unexplored. Obviously, the hardcore fans are going to have their ideals on what something should be like. But for the most part, you can go into this era of Star Wars as a writer and do whatever the hell you want. Like, you don't have to be 100% held to a book or a game or preconceived notion, or you don't even really have to follow a lot of the prior timeline stuff that was going on, because you're happening way before any of the stuff in the prequels and the original trilogy happened. So you can just do whatever the hell you want, because you don't have to stay in line with that stuff. If you want to have there be some kind of a Sith genocide or a people genocide, whatever it may be, or eradicate some species of people, if it wasn't really mentioned in the new trilogy, then you can do that. You have a lot more room for creative freedom in this era, and I think it just provides for a lot more tools and space for someone to be creative here. Number 2, consistency of development. So for this one in particular, this has more to do with a lot of my gripes from the sequel trilogy. A lot of the older, well, I think the prequels had an issue with this to an extent, where you saw just inconsistent focus on different characters. I feel like they would have characters who would get a lot of focus and attention in one movie and then wouldn't the next, or wouldn't in one movie before and would get hyper focused on the next. If you're looking at the prequel trilogy, characters like Obi-Wan Kenobi was like damn near non-existent in The Phantom Menace, but then in the Attack of the Clones, he's just like hyper focused on, which is great. I think that was a great decision, but I would have loved to see him get a lot more development in the first movie, especially since one of the bigger moments was the death of his master, and I felt like he wasn't even around as much for that whole movie. So just picking the main characters and the side characters that you really want to have a character arc with and development with in that, whether you're doing a lineup of movies, whether that's a TV show, pick your main characters and work on them. And if you're doing a TV show, obviously you have more room to bring in other side characters and give them some development, but pick your core people that you want to stick with and give them and take them through a full arc of development. Because I don't want to have the situation that we had in the sequels where they introduced Rose and then gave her so much development and so much screen time in one movie, and then because of fan backlash and public anger, they then just folded to what public opinion was. It just didn't even give her as many lines as the person that wasn't alive in that movie. Again, however you feel about Rose, the character is non-important here. It's the fact that I need the writers to be able to be creative without having to bend to the whim of somebody from movie to movie, because you just don't have any continuity and consistency there. And it just makes for a shitty project overall. I don't think it was as big as a dumpster fire as a lot of people made it to seem. I think a lot of the issues with it was the fact that there was no continuity there in regards to just storytelling and damn near anything, to be honest with you. I feel like everything from movie to movie with that trilogy was fucking all over the place and different. But I need continuity if we're going to move into this next era of Star Wars, now that you have the opportunity to. Last but not least, number 1, I need my focus on my samurai space wizards. Granted, I understand that some people may not love Star Wars for just the Jedi and the Sith stuff and may feel like that may be somewhat played out. But personally for me, most of the allure and the reasoning why I fell in love with Star Wars was the mystique and the cool factor of the Jedi and the Sith. And again, going back into like Star Wars: The Old Republic, the thing I love the most about that era was the crazy cool Sith and Jedi that were around during that era, in that game in particular. The Dark Lords like Malgus or Nihilus or even Revan were main staples within this series, and they were so damn cool, it made you want to root for the villains even more. Granted, I think you got that to somewhat of an extent in something like Darth Vader, but these Sith Lords have such a different level of badassery than Darth Vader, in my personal opinion, that I need to see that on screen. You don't need to have these exact Sith Lords. Let me not say that. You don't need to have these exact people here, but someone in the same vein, in the same coolness factor, like make some original Sith Lords and Jedi that are just badass and cool, and bring them on. Like, I need to see more saber battles. Give me badass choreography like this. Or like this. That stuff was dope to me, even beyond the Sith, like the Jedi. Please make the Jedi more well-rounded characters. Characters like Mace Windu were so dope to me because one of the whole things about him was that he embraced the Jedi Order and the Jedi Code, but also understood that he had a dark side that he had to embrace. I find it very hard to believe you have this group of people who are cut off from all emotion and selfish endeavors, and then you show me characters like Obi-Wan Kenobi, who was shown to have romantic love interest in the past as a Padawan. You show me Mace Windu, who is well known for utilizing the dark side in a healthy manner in his combat ability. And then the biggest one of them all, Anakin, you show that he just completely throws all his Jedi shit out the window. So I find it very hard to believe that outside of them and other handful of Jedi that left the Order, or being weird in the Order, as far as not following the Jedi Code, were the only ones that did not follow the Code 100%. So give me more of that. Show me more of these Jedi being conflicted with the Code, especially in regards to them matching up against Sith who don't have any code except for their own of power and greed and strength. Like, show me more of that dynamic. I don't know. I feel like Star Wars as a whole has just been in this really big blah place where they've done everything very mediocre in regards to showing all these different aspects that I've put on my wish list so far. I feel like all these things have not been really focused on as best as they possibly could be. And if we do go on down the line and we get all these different things inside of Star Wars in the future installments, again, whether that be through movies, shows, or however, I think that can just be something that brings a lot more life and almost damn near a new fan base, which is kind of hard to believe because I feel like everybody loves Star Wars at this point, but there are still those few people that maybe just are casuals on it. But if you do this right, this can be something, honestly, to me personally, damn near as big as the Marvel franchise that they had going on with their Marvel heroes. Now, does it have to be that big in regards to everything in the box office looking like that and that being the only thing that matters? No. But it just will breathe a new breath of life into it. Because I feel like Star Wars has been not dying out, but it's just been in a real weird blah middle place for things that just been really mediocre or bad as of late when it comes to a lot of shows. There have been some bright spots, don't get me wrong. I think certain shows like the Ahsoka show for me was personally what I enjoyed, and some of the seasons of The Mandalorian were good, but we're starting to get to a real stale place with Star Wars, and I just want to see more life being breathed into the series. Again, these are just my personal thoughts. Please do not come at me for my personal thoughts. If you have your own personal wish list of items that you want to see in Star Wars going forward, let me know in the comments below. Reach out to me on any of my social medias that you may see in the description below, and kind of let me know. We can chop it up. We can have a very healthy, organic conversation about how we feel about a franchise that means a lot to myself and a lot of other people. Yeah, I'm a big Star Wars fan, and I just want to see Star Wars be great. Like, make it great, make it something worthwhile, make it something that old fans and new fans coming in can just enjoy and love and just talk about all the time. And make it something to where when we talk about Star Wars, it's not just a somewhat of a depressing conversation about where it could be. Make it a conversation about how great it currently is. But yeah, that's all I got for you guys today. This is just, again, a really impromptu video that I kind of made off the top of the head. So yeah, let me know if you want more videos like this. This has been the captain of Captain Dize's Dojo, and I'll see you guys next time. Peace.
You're now watching the Captain.